especially on a night meant to celebrate his philanthropic triumphs. Under the shimmering chandeliers of the Astor Foundation fundraiser, he stands in a sharp black tuxedo top button, undone hair, slightly tousled from the chaos that has just erupted around him. Cameras are flashing in rapid bursts, paparazzi stationed at the edges of his exclusive penthouse rooftop, where over 100 high-profile guests have gathered. Only moments ago, the event had seemed destined for success, with the city's elite praising Leonardo for funding literacy programs across the country. But now the air crackles with tension. A giant digital screen behind the podium flickers and stalls, then reboots, revealing security footage that no one was ever meant to see. A wobbly, grainy feed from the penthouse's advanced CCTV system takes over, broadcasting a terrifying break-in that happened just hours before the glitzy crowd collectively gasps as the footage shows a masked figure breaching the heavily locked balcony doors, making a beeline for a pregnant woman, cowering in terror. Serafina, Astor, Leonardo's beloved wife. The intruder's silhouette hovers with menacing intent, brandishing a glinting object, a blade perhaps. While Serafina cradles her stomach in desperate protectiveness, Leonardo's heart stops. His entire body goes rigid, and the unstoppable tide of guilt floods his mind. He knows exactly who orchestrated this unspeakable act. Bianca Moretti, his mistress, is out there in the crowd right now. Unless she's already fled, the hush of shock among the guests morphs into a wave of frenzied chatter. People reach for their phones. Some dial the police. Others snap pictures to feed the social media beast. And standing only a few feet from Leonardo is Cassian Lee, his longtime best friend and business confidant, whose expression is trapped in a whirlwind of disbelief and anger. "Leo, what the hell are we watching?" Cassian chokes out, eyes flaring with protective fury. Leonardo doesn't reply. His mouth parts in horror as the figure on screen shoves Serafina against a marble counter in the living room. The masked intruder's voice too garbled to be deciphered, yet its sinister intention is unmistakable. The footage lasts maybe 90 seconds, but it feels like an eternity. Then the intruder disappears into the darkness, leaving behind shattered glass and a shattered woman. The screen glitches back to the fundraiser's elegant slideshow, as if it too is horrified by what it just revealed. Everyone turns in unison, expecting an explanation, a reason for this horrifying video to burst into their evening celebration. Leonardo, a prominent art patron, steps forward, voice trembling, her face ashen under the neon glow of the rooftop bar. "Is that your wife?" Another voice calls out, "Call security. Where's your wife right now?" And then, from the far end of the penthouse, a shrill scream resonates. People part like the Red Sea, and there she is, Serafina in a flowing emerald gown, eyes wide, hair disheveled from the scuffle. Her left wrist sports a fresh bruise, now visible in the overhead lights. An uneasy hush takes the party in its grip. Serafina lifts her chin, scanning the astonished throng. Cameras flash as reporters lunge forward, hungry for a scandal. I'm all right," she manages, though. Her voice shakes. "Please don't. I just need..." But she can't finish the sentence. A wave of dizziness hits her. She staggers, and Cassian rushes to catch her, stepping in for Leonardo, who stands rooted in place as if his glossy black loafers are nailed to the floor. In that split second, the entire city sees the harrowing reality. Leonardo Astor, billionaire, real estate titan, global philanthropist, and adored social figure, has failed to protect the very person he claims to love most. The hush intensifies, and someone at the back of the crowd mutters, "Where's the security detail? How did an intruder get in?" On the dais stands Helena Parks, Leonardo's formidable lawyer, her usually calm demeanor riddled with panic. She adjusts her glasses, scanning the crowd to see if Bianca might be present. If there's any shred of evidence that points directly to the mistress, Helena wants to catch it now. But Bianca is nowhere to be seen, like a ghost who has left chaos in her wake. Leonardo exhales, shoving trembling hands into his pockets. This was supposed to be the night that showcased his generosity, the crowning moment of an empire built through grit and vision. Instead, the penthouse has turned into a war zone of rumors and condemnation. Then Serafina's stifled sob rips through him like a blade. He lunges toward her, dropping to his knees beside the couch where Cassian has helped her sit. "Sarah," he whispers, voice raw with remorse. "God, I'm so sorry, I didn't know." But he can't finish. He's aware that he's lying by omission. He did know something was brewing. He'd grown suspicious of Bianca's cunning. Nature had hints that she was orchestrating something vile, yet he never imagined it would escalate to a violent break-in that threatened his pregnant wife's life. Serafina's eyes are huge and brimming with tears. Her shaky breath makes every syllable quiver. Leo, I thought I was going to lose our baby. And you, where were you? The heartbreak in her voice is worse than any insult. A flurry of paparazzi shutters click, capturing her agony. Leonardo's mind races. This footage, this monstrous unveiling of Bianca's scheme, is going to explode across every news channel and tabloids by morning. The entire philanthropic circle will wonder how the city's most philanthropic billionaire could have let something so horrific happen right under his watch. Cassian places a hand on Serafina's shoulder to steady her, while Helena steps in her posture. Protective. That's enough. Helena barks to the reporters. This is a private matter. Everyone outside now. She gestures for the building's security staff, who begin ushering the shell-shocked guests toward the elevators. A few linger, hungry for one more shot or quote, but eventually the penthouse empties, leaving a debris field of toppled champagne flutes, half-eaten canapes, and swirling clouds of scandal. Leonardo helps Serafina to her feet, guiding her gently toward the plush chaise lounge near the window. Beneath them, the city sparkles obliviously, but inside this penthouse, everything is crumbling. I need you to listen. Leonardo begins each word, a trembling admission. There's more to this than just a random attack. Serafina exhales, rage flickering in her eyes. You don't have to tell me. I've suspected. She glances at Helena and Cassian, then lowers her voice. I know about Bianca. The name hangs in the air like a dark omen. Time slows and Leonardo feels his stomach clench. He opens his mouth to speak, but it is Helena who steps forward. Leonardo, the entire city just saw that footage. We have to get ahead of this. The police will be here any minute to collect statements. We can't just spin it. This is attempted harm against Serafina, against your unborn child. Outside, sirens wail, growing louder as they approach. The ephemeral sheen of the charity event has popped like a soap bubble, replaced by the metallic taste of impending doom. Serafina Cassian says softly, Is the baby okay? Do you need to see a doctor? She nods numbly, pressing a palm against her belly. Yes, I just want to be sure. Leonardo reaches for her, his hand trembling. I'll take you. But the door bursts open. A cluster of uniformed police officers step inside, followed by paramedics. The lead officer, an older woman with stern eyes, directs two paramedics to examine Serafina, while she demands explanations from Leonardo and Helena. Mr. Astor, the officer says, voice crisp with practiced authority, we have reason to believe your penthouse security was compromised from the inside. We'll need a statement. Leonardo's eyes flick toward the dark corner of the room, where he had glimpsed Bianca earlier in the evening, smirking at him behind a gilded candelabra. She must have pulled the string arranged for that footage to be broadcast at the worst possible moment. This is her twisted calling card. And the only question that remains is whether the final blow is yet to come. Officer Helena interjects firmly. I'll coordinate with you. We have legal counsel ready. My client will cooperate fully. The officer nods. Then her gaze shifts to Serafina, who's being gently placed on a gurney. Ma'am, I understand you're pregnant. The paramedics are hooking Serafina up to a portable monitor, reading her vitals. Yes, Serafina whispers, tears glistening, and I was attacked in my own home. That masked figure, he threatened me, said something I can't even recall. I was so frightened. Leonardo stands by helplessly, a wave of crushing guilt threatening to suffocate him. Her eyes, once full of warmth, are filled with betrayal. And in that instant, as the paramedics wheel her toward the elevator, Leonardo realizes he might have lost the very person he cherished more than any philanthropic cause, more than his empire of wealth and power. Serafina. Wait, he pleads. She averts her gaze. The paramedics allow him to ride with her, but she says nothing more, clutching the sheets with trembling hands. Her presence is weighed down by shock, overshadowing any immediate forgiveness. As they descend, Helena trails behind, with the officer coordinating a full lockdown of the penthouse. Cassian remains upstairs, barking orders at the staff, directing them to gather phone records, security logs, anything that might pinpoint how Bianca pulled off this monstrous stunt. Outside, the swirling lights of police cruisers and ambulances paint the night in a chorus of red and blue. A crowd has formed, neighbors, onlookers. More paparazzi, microphones are shoved forward. Is Mrs. Astor all right, Leonardo? Is it true the intruder was your mistress's accomplice? Mr. Astor, are you filing for divorce? That last question cuts straight to the bone. Leonardo winces as cameras record his every grimace. Divorce, the dreaded word that might now define his future. He had never thought it would come to this. But if Serafina cannot forgive him, if she or their child is in danger, maybe it's the only way. A paramedic closes the ambulance door, shutting out the chaos. In the sealed interior where the overhead light buzzes, Leonardo finally has a moment with Serafina. Her face is white as a sheet, sweat droplets on her forehead. She doesn't look at him, Zara. He begins, voice cracking. I'm so sorry. She squeezes her eyes shut, her tears slipping down. I just want our baby safe, she murmurs. That's all I care about right now. You can explain yourself later. Right now, keep me and our child alive. A single tear escapes him, burning hot against his cheek. The ambulance lurches into motion, sirens blaring. Leonardo glances at the blank space on the seat where Bianca might have been if his life hadn't splintered into betrayal. He silently curses every moment he let her near him, near his home, near his wife. He wonders if he'll ever be able to undo the damage. Meanwhile, outside the ambulance, half the city is picking apart the drama. In the swirl of headlines and unstoppable speculation, one truth emerges: a pregnant wife, a billionaire entangled with a cunning mistress in a horrifying act of revenge, broadcast on live CCTV for the world to see. The stage is set and the question echoes: how far will Leonardo go to protect Serafina and the unborn child from a scornful mistress who clearly is willing to step over any boundary? What would you do if your darkest secret shattered every shred of security you thought you had? Before the applause and bright lights of the Astor Foundation fundraiser ever came into the picture, Leonardo's world had seemed like a modern fairy tale, a string of successful real estate ventures catapulting him into billionaire status, a whirlwind romance with the radiant Serafina Braxton, now Astor, and an iconic wedding ceremony on a private island off the coast of Capri. An entire magazine spread had been dedicated to their nuptials, capturing Serafina's captivating grin as she waltzed barefoot across a rose-petaled veranda in a dress that glittered under Mediterranean sunshine. The tabloids adored them, branding them the new power couple, a fusion of affluence and grace. Meanwhile, Bianca Moretti was but a passing silhouette in Leonardo's early career days. A brilliant marketing strategist with a flair for shaping brand empires, she had soared to modest fame in exclusive industry circles, championing the use of sleek digital campaigns to sway investors. She was as bold as the geometric sculptures that lined the lobbies of Leonardo's real estate developments. In the beginning, Bianca's presence was an asset. She introduced him to hedge fund managers and curated important investor parties. She had a knack for sweet-talking men twice her age into signing multi-million-dollar deals. If any suspicion lingered in the background, it was overshadowed by the unstoppable synergy the two radiated in business circles. The possibility of an affair never crossed Serafina's mind, but as Leonardo's star rose, so did the cracks in his busy schedule. Serafina was supportive, planning philanthropic galas, designing their penthouse with a warm but upscale aesthetic, and eventually setting up her own fashion brand that specialized in eco-friendly couture. She tried to carve out a life separate from her husband's shadow while still cherishing their bond. Those first few years, Leonardo was attentive and passionate, always surprising her with romantic getaways on his luxury yacht or tickets to hidden villas in the south of France. Cassian Lee, an old friend from Leonardo's Harvard days, was a perpetual presence on these trips, an eager third wheel whose quick wit and easy laughter made the gatherings feel like family. Yet as the business expanded, pulling Leonardo into deeper, more complex negotiations, his hours got longer and his stress soared. Serafina, noticing his dark eye circles and constant phone calls, sought ways to ease his burdens. She suggested more staff, more personal time, more vacations, but he'd wave her off with a tired grin and a promise that he'd take a break after the next big deal. Slowly, a distance grew like a hairline fracture in a priceless vase that neither of them wanted to acknowledge. One evening, while Serafina waited in the penthouse lounge with dinner cooling on the table, Leonardo was out. He had texted hours earlier. Meeting ran late, don't wait up. She tried to stifle her disappointment, flipping through photos from a recent ultrasound. She was newly pregnant then and so excited to share the baby's heartbeat recording with him. But by the time he stumbled in, well past midnight, she was asleep. That was the first real sting. She felt a subtle sense of being shut out. If only she had known that Bianca was occupying his evenings. Indeed, Bianca had re-emerged in Leonardo's professional orbit as a consultant tasked with orchestrating an ambitious marketing push for Astor Global Properties. She brought champagne to after-hour brainstorming sessions, laughing at Leonardo's jokes, complimenting his every move. He, under crippling stress and starved for easy validation, found her presence an addictive release. It began innocently enough, a few texts about market analytics, turning into inside jokes, then morphing into flirtatious banter. By the time lines were crossed, it was like stepping off a cliff that he had convinced himself wasn't really there. Meanwhile, Serafina clung to hope. She adored the father of her child, blindly trusting that their rocky phase was just a product of career-driven exhaustion. Then her suspicions began to take root. The faint perfume on Leonardo's collar that wasn't hers. Unexpected charges on the corporate credit card for boutique florist shops, nowhere near her known circle of suppliers, and nights when he'd toss and turn, half dreaming, half mumbling, a name she couldn't quite decipher. She wanted to believe in him, in the sanctity of their marriage, but the cold dread in the pit of her stomach wouldn't relent. Eventually the night came when Serafina recognized that she was almost certainly sharing her husband's affections. That same week, Bianca's name flashed on Leonardo's phone as it buzzed across the dining table. He rushed to pick it up, claiming it was a work call, stepping onto the balcony so she couldn't overhear. Serafina recalled how the city lights reflected off the tears she fought to hide. Still, she said nothing. She told herself that this child needed a stable father, and she'd do whatever it took to preserve the fragile dream. Then the unthinkable happened. A cryptic note was slipped under the penthouse door, a typed message on expensive stationery that read, "If you knew who he truly is, you'd run." The letter was signed with an ornate B. Serafina's heart hammered. She suspected Bianca, but confronted Leonardo, gently showing him the note. He scoffed, telling her she was overreacting, that it was probably a jealous competitor or a random prank. But the tension in his eyes gave him away. She wasn't overreacting at all. She was playing the part of the naive spouse while her marriage was cracking at the seams. When she pressed him further, he snapped, claiming work. Stress, despite every alarm bell ringing. Serafina had no proof beyond a gut feeling. She tried to bury her suspicions for the sake of the baby, for the sake of the life they had built. She wanted to preserve the illusions a little longer, hoping that her love and perhaps a new child would restore their unity, but illusions rarely endure once poisoned by betrayal. The memory of those final weeks before the fundraiser still haunts her, her anger simmering just beneath the surface, his evasive eyes, the oppressive hush in their once lively penthouse, the large echoing rooms that had once been filled with laughter. To the public eye, they were the perfect philanthropic duo. Privately, their conversations had reduced to perfunctory small talk. Yet neither was willing to tear down the veneer. Serafina still prayed for a miracle, some magic that would end this heartbreak before it escalated further. Little did she know that everything was careening toward that terrifying moment at the fundraiser, that Bianca was weaving an even darker plan, one that would shatter any illusions Serafina had left. On the ambulance ride to the hospital, after the fundraiser fiasco, Serafina flashed back to those days, cursing herself for not confronting Leonardo sooner. She should have demanded answers, should have forced him to choose. Perhaps had she done so, the masked intruder might never have showed up to threaten her baby's life. Now the monstrous revelation was broadcast for the entire city to see. And Serafina, her hand protectively splayed across her belly, was left grappling with the horrifying truth. The man she once believed was her loyal partner had inadvertently exposed her and their unborn child to the vile manipulations of a mistress scorned. What would you do if you realized your kindness and patience only fueled someone else's betrayal? The next few days blur in a haze of hospital corridors and quiet, tense conversations with doctors. Serafina remains under observation at a private wing of the hospital, the name Astor quietly opening every VIP door. Nurses bring her updates on the baby's progress. Fortunately, the stress didn't cause any immediate harm to the fetus, but they warn her that she has to avoid turmoil for the remainder of her pregnancy. One nurse gently remarks, "Your blood pressure spikes whenever your husband visits." Serafina forces a polite smile, internally reeling from the impossibility of calm when her life is swirling with suspicion and heartbreak. Leonardo, for his part, tries relentlessly to prove he's by her side. He sleeps on the narrow couch in her suite, if only to show that he won't run away from the mess he's created. But each time he attempts to talk about the break-in, Serafina's eyes flicker with fear and anger. She's not ready to hear him out, not yet. Outside the hospital's polished glass doors, chaos rages. News trucks line the curb, reporters ready to pounce with cameras, screaming questions about the scandal. Astor Global stock wavers on the market. A paparazzo sneaks into the building disguised as a janitor, snapping a blurry photo of Serafina through the glass partition. Furious security staff tackle him, but the damage is done by evening. Online gossip columns are plastered with headlines about the terrified pregnant wife. Helena Parks issues a press statement condemning any harassment of her client. But these words do little to curb the tabloid's appetite. Then comes the question that circles every conversation. Where is Bianca Moretti? For a hot minute, she has vanished, fueling rumors that she's on the run. Only Cassian knows that she's cunning enough to let the rumor mill swirl, waiting for the perfect moment to reappear. Indeed, ominous text messages find their way to Leonardo's phone, unknown numbers telling him he'll regret ignoring Bianca, cryptic warnings that it's not over. He shows them to Helena, who sighs heavily and says, "We can't do much until we have direct proof these messages come from her." Leonardo's best friend also urges him to come clean with Serafina. "You owe her the truth," Cassian insists, "every part of it. Don't let her find out from some journalist or random leak." So on the third night of Serafina's hospitalization, Leonardo steels himself. He picks up a bouquet of pale pink peonies, her favorite, and trudges into her room. Serafina is seated on the edge of the bed, leaning forward to read some children's book about lullabies, probably to calm her nerves. She glances up, eyes wary. "Flowers don't fix bullet wounds," she remarks softly, capturing the heartbreak behind her bitterness. He sets them aside. "I know, but I need to tell you everything. Let me do that." She hesitates, lips pressed tightly, but then she nods. The tension in the room crackles like static electricity. Over the next hour, Leonardo admits to the months-long affair, describing how it started in business meetings, how Bianca's attention made him feel unstoppable, how he never intended to harm Serafina or risk their marriage. His voice breaks multiple times, tears sliding down his usually stoic face. "I was blind," he confesses. "I was so caught up in work, in ego. I let Bianca in. I let her manipulate me. I let you down." Serafina's eyes glisten, tears of betrayal streaming silently. When she finally speaks, it's a tremulous whisper. "So all those nights I waited, telling myself you were just working late, you were actually with her." He flinches. "Yes," he murmurs, "but I never imagined she'd do this, attack. You attack our child. I swear, I had no idea she'd go so far. She must have wanted revenge for me cutting her off. I knew she was upset, but this is beyond evil." The bitterness in Serafina's voice is palpable. "You gave her the ammunition, Leo. You gave her the belief that she could destroy me to have you." Her words twist the knife deeper into him. He can't protest, can't defend himself. The truth is damning. Serafina exhales, pressing a palm to her abdomen. "Right now, the doctors say the baby is stable. That's all that matters to me, but do you realize what you've done?" He nods, shoulders sagging under the crushing weight of his guilt. Silence fills the sterile room. Then Serafina closes the lullaby book. "I might need a lawyer of my own," she says abruptly, tears brimming. "If Bianca tried to kill me, if you let her into our lives, how can I be sure of anything anymore? How can I be sure you won't spiral again, or that she won't come back to finish what she started?" Leonardo's eyes flicker in panic. "You're talking about leaving me?" She draws a shaky breath. "I'm talking about the possibility of divorce. I never imagined saying that word, but I have to protect myself and our child." That single word, divorce, hits him like a physical blow. He opens his mouth to protest, but stops. She's right after all. He has lost any moral ground to sway her, at least for now. "Let me at least help you feel safe," he pleads softly. "Let me fund the best security, relocate you to a safe property if you want. And anything." She nods, expression impassive, tears still caught on her lashes. For now, that might be best. Then she closes her eyes, a wave of emotional exhaustion overtaking her. "I'm not saying I've decided to end us, but you need to show me I can trust you. Not with empty words, but with real actions." Leonardo leans forward, pressing his lips to her forehead in a feather-light kiss, uncertain if the gesture is even welcome. She doesn't pull away, but she doesn't embrace him either. "I'll do whatever it takes," he says, voice trembling. "Whatever it takes to protect you and earn your forgiveness." He can see she wants to believe him, but the pain in her eyes speaks volumes. Outside the hospital window, city lights flicker, mirroring the uneasy dance of hope and despair in their hearts. Meanwhile, a phone buzzes on the side table, another unknown number calling. Leonardo steels himself, ignoring the vibration for now, because one question remains: if Bianca has already stooped to violence, what deeper horrors might she unleash next? He can't shake the vision of her cunning smile, the memory of her persuasive words. She's unhinged, and if jealousy fuels her further, who knows where her revenge will end. What would you do if your child's safety hung on the shattered remnants of a marriage you once believed invincible? Fresh from the tumult of hospital visits, Serafina returns home to a reinforced version of the penthouse now swarming with private security guards stationed at every vulnerable entry point. Bulletproof glass has replaced several windows and cameras line the corridors, each feed carefully monitored. The place resembles a bunker, more than a luxurious retreat. Though Serafina loathes the fortress-like atmosphere, the memory of the masked intruder's knife flashing under those neon city lights is enough to make her stomach churn. She focuses on small joys, the baby's crib delivered just yesterday with pastel bedding, or the freshly painted nursery walls. With every stroke of the pastel pink brush, she tries to paint over the darkness. Leonardo hovers close, offering to rearrange furniture or brew her favorite chamomile tea. Guilt emanates from him in waves, but she doesn't push him away. She needs to see if his remorse can translate into genuine change. The tension, however, is thicker than the smog outside. The city abuzz with the scandal shows no mercy. Early one morning, just before dawn, Serafina's phone explodes with messages. At first, she expects more tabloid speculation, but this time it's something worse. Bianca Moretti has gone live on social media streaming from an undisclosed location. She claims she was framed for the break-in, that the footage was doctored, and that Leonardo is scapegoating her to cover up some hidden corruption in his real estate empire. Overnight now, Bianca speaks trends on every platform. She shows a series of documents that appear to be property transaction records, suggesting that large sums were funneled offshore. She wields insinuations that the Astors are not the philanthropic saints they pretend to be. The tabloids latch onto the story like piranhas. By noon, paparazzi swarm the base of the penthouse tower, chanting questions about money laundering, about false accusations. Leonardo's lawyer, Helena Parks, scrambles to quell the rumors, emphasizing that Bianca's data is fabricated. But the world loves a scandal, and social media is hungry for conspiracy theories. In the swirl of speculation, the violent break-in is overshadowed by these sensational claims. Serafina sits on the sofa, eyes glued to the giant TV screen, broadcasting Bianca's face in stark close-up. The mistress theatrically brushes away tears, claiming she's being vilified for turning down Leonardo's inappropriate demands. There's no direct mention of violence, but the subtext is pungent. Bianca is painting herself as a victim, leaning on the worst kind of manipulative performance. Leonardo storms in, face livid. He switches off the TV, chest heaving, as if he's run a marathon. This is madness. She's lying through her teeth. I have no clue where she even got those documents. Some are real though, right? Serafina says quietly, recalling the hush-hush deals Leonardo once boasted about at dinner parties. He meets her gaze. Yes, they're real estate documents, but they aren't illegal. She must have stolen them from my private files to smear me. Serafina believes him, at least about the legality of his business. She's seen the philanthropic side of him too often to assume the worst. But it's a new wave of stress they don't need. That afternoon, she's scheduled for a routine prenatal checkup. But driving out from the penthouse feels like braving a war zone. Paparazzi line the lobby, flinging accusations. Are you divorcing the billionaire, Mrs. Astor? Is your baby safe? One even dares to ask. Are you faking the pregnancy for sympathy? She nearly collapses at that cruelty, tears stinging her eyes. The bodyguards form a wall, ushering her and Leonardo into a sleek black SUV. He tries to hold her hand, but she pulls away, the humiliation still fresh. I'm sorry, he mutters for the 100th time. She stares out the tinted window, noticing a suspicious drone hovering overhead, another invasive eye trying to get exclusive footage. The car lurches forward and her stomach tightens in dread. By the time they reach the clinic, her blood pressure has spiked again. The obstetrician warns her about the effects of chronic stress. You need rest, minimal anxiety, stable emotional support. She says, eyeing Leonardo. That's crucial right now. Serafina tries to breathe deeply, focusing on the ultrasound's whooshing heartbeat. Relief and love flutter for a moment, hearing her baby's strong pulse. She squeezes Leonardo's hand in involuntary reaction. For a split second, she wants to cling to him, recall the days when he'd whisk her off to romantic dinners and they'd laugh about silly headlines. Then the flicker of paparazzi cameras from the window shatters that moment of respite. They found them even here. She releases his hand. Later that evening, Helena calls with urgent news. Bianca's live stream triggered a wave of negative publicity, and a reporter from a major network is offering Bianca a primetime interview slot next week. We have to act fast, Helena explains. We can't let her control the narrative. If we do, she'll spin the break-in as a hoax, paint Serafina as a liar, and claim you're the abuser. Leonardo leans against the kitchen counter, pressing fingertips into his eyes. The idea of Bianca rewriting reality to absolve herself sends him into a quiet rage. We have the CCTV footage, he retorts. We have the intruder who was arrested. Helena's voice tightens. But in the court of public opinion, she's winning sympathy. She'll claim you bribed the intruder to fake this story because your business deals are crooked. Without a direct confession linking her to the masked man, people might doubt the official version. Serafina, perched on a bar stool, listens in horror. The irony is suffocating. The mistress orchestrated a savage attack, but now she's flipping the script, turning the world's spotlight on Leonardo's potential misdeeds. We need a plan, Serafina says softly, trying to quell the panic rising in her chest. We can't just wait for her next move, Helena nods. I advise going on the offense. Show proof that she accessed your confidential documents, that she's extorting you. If we gather enough evidence, we can file a civil suit for defamation, in addition to criminal charges for the break-in. But it'll be a battle. Serafina feels the weight of it all. She's carrying a child battered by the emotional strain of betrayal, and now forced to engage in a public war with the mistress who nearly took her life. She looks at Leonardo, whose face is lined with shame, worry, and a flicker of resolute anger. Maybe he's truly done letting Bianca hold him hostage, but can Serafina trust him? At the same time, an internal voice warns her stress is a dangerous foe right now. She's exhausted, so close to hitting a breaking point. Leonardo reads her expression. He steps forward gently, placing a hand on her shoulder. If you want me gone, if it's too much, I'll find another way. I just want you safe. She swallows hard, forcing a nod. I can't do this alone, she whispers. But if you ever betray me again, I swear I won't survive it. The finality in her voice hovers in the air, potent and heartbreaking. He squeezes her shoulder, tears glinting in his eyes. You won't have to, I swear it. She's desperate to believe him, but fear like a dark serpent coils inside her. We have a week before Bianca's big interview, Helena reminds them. Use it wisely beneath the penthouse's bright modern lighting. The stage is set for an all-out media war, and time is ticking. What would you do if every shred of your dignity hinged on exposing a cunning liar before she broadcast her twisted version of your life to the world? Days bleed into each other as the tension escalates to a boiling point. A swirl of leaked documents, ominous phone calls, and menacing messages from Bianca's camp flood Leonardo's life. Even the once inviolable sanctum of the Astor penthouse feels stifling. Serafina's obstetrician, concerned about her elevated heart rate, instructs strict bed rest. She tries to comply, but rest is elusive when every device around her pings with updates about the unfolding scandal. Her mind whirls with the memory of that intruder's whispered threat, the steel gleam of the weapon pressed too close to her stomach. As if that isn't enough, a new wave of rumors hits the tabloids. A sensational claim that Leonardo never intended to remain faithful to Serafina, that the child might not even be his. The slander is so offensive that Helena Parks almost chokes with outrage. They're painting you as some gold-digging opportunist, Helena tells Serafina, and insinuating your pregnancy is a ploy to keep him. Furious tears burn at Serafina's eyes. How dare they? This baby. Her voice trembles. I've loved Leonardo for years. We married for love, not for these twisted reasons. Leonardo paces the room, practically shredding a letter from an anonymous source threatening a tell-all if he doesn't pay hush money. Bianca's toying with us, he growls, trying to stir up chaos so we lose focus on the real issue, her orchestrating a violent break-in. Helena nods grimly. We only have 3 days before her primetime interview. We need a trump card. Cassian Lee emerges from the background where he's been on conference calls trying to outmaneuver the rumor mill. He sets down a stack of papers. We might have something, he says quietly. I've had my tech guys comb through metadata on all those suspicious documents Bianca leaked. Some of them appear to be doctored. The timestamps are altered. If we can prove she falsified them, we can undermine her entire credibility. A spark of hope flits across Serafina's face. Hope that maybe they can discredit Bianca publicly before she can spin more lies. But that hope is shattered by another call. Helena snatches her phone from the table, eyebrows shooting up as she listens. When she hangs up, her expression is stone cold. The attacker, Marco Salazar, just recanted his statement. He now claims you paid him, Leonardo, to fake the burglary. Bianca's interview teaser snippet dropped. She's building a narrative that you staged everything to blame her. Serafina's mouth falls open in disbelief. That's insane. Why would we do that? Helena exhales. It's a horrifying claim, but apparently she got to Marco in prison, offered him money or a reduced sentence if he helps her spin this. The news hits Leonardo like a punch to the gut. My God, he whispers. She won't stop until she's destroyed us completely. The meltdown is immediate. Cassian starts furiously calling contacts at the Department of Corrections trying to confirm the rumor. Helena leaps onto her laptop to draft a new press release. Serafina, meanwhile, stands there paralyzed, the corners of her vision going dark. She can't breathe under this avalanche of betrayal. In desperation, she thinks of the unborn baby inside her. Wonders if this child will ever have a normal life. She edges toward the nursery, away from the shouting and tension in the living room. She lowers herself into the rocking chair, a piece of decor she'd once chosen with joy, and closes her eyes, trying to block out the madness. Then the door creaks. Leonardo steps in quietly. Sarah, he says, voice trembling. I'm sorry. Again, it's all my fault. I brought Bianca into our circle. Her eyes flutter open, tears rolling freely. I just want a normal life, she whispers, hugging a plush teddy bear. This child, she deserves better. The sorrow in her words turns his stomach inside out. He kneels beside her, resting a gentle hand on her knee. We have a plan, he insists, though. His tone belies uncertainty. We'll prove Bianca's behind this. We'll show the real video with the real timestamps. And what if it's not enough? She asks, voice cracking. He presses his forehead against her knee. For a moment, eyes squeezed shut. I won't let her win, he murmurs. I've called in a few favors. Some investigators who might dig up her past. We'll find something. We have to. Just then, Cassian appears in the doorway, breathless. We found the masked intruder's cousin. He's willing to testify that Bianca paid him to visit Marco in prison. We might have a lead. Leonardo springs to his feet. That's it then. Let's get to him before Bianca shuts him up. Serafina stands dizzy from the whirlwind. I'm going with you, she declares. No, Leonardo and Cassian say in unison, alarmed. She stiffens. I can't just hide in this penthouse like some caged bird waiting for updates. I want justice. I want to see the face of the man who helped traumatize me. Leonardo tries to protest, but she silences him with a hand on his arm. Helena and your security team can come, but I'm done being a silent victim. He sees the fire in her eyes, a defiance that reminds him of the bold woman he first fell in love with, despite every protective instinct screaming inside him. He nods. All right, he concedes. But we do this safely. Understand? She exhales, and for a moment their eyes lock in solidarity. The air between them hums with a fragile alliance. Before they leave, Cassian's phone dings with an alert. Bianca has just posted a countdown to her interview. 2 days left until the truth comes out, accompanied by a provocative photo of her leaning back in a velvet chair, a sly smile on her lips. The caption reads, "Tune in for #Bianca." Speaks, Serafina's heart thumps. A ticking clock looms over them, a countdown that could shape the rest of their lives if they failed to dismantle Bianca's lies. What would you do if time itself felt like the enemy second by second, leading you toward an inferno you can't escape? A crisp wind befriends the black SUV as it rolls up to a gritty industrial part of the city, far from the glittering high-rises that define Leonardo Astor's realm. The streets are strewn with discarded debris, and rows of abandoned warehouses loom on either side. Serafina steps out onto the cracked pavement, flanked by Helena Parks and 2 stern-faced bodyguards. She clutches her coat collar, bracing herself. She's never been in a place like this, so far from the posh enclaves where she grew up. Leonardo and Cassian exit behind her, scanning the surroundings. It's the second building on the left, Cassian says, pointing to a dimly lit warehouse with boarded-up windows. Word is that Marco's cousin, a man named Arturo Salazar, has agreed to meet them. He's the only one who can confirm that Bianca bribed Marco to recant his statement. Serafina's heart quivers. She's anxious about confronting the man who might unravel the entire web of lies. But the tension is overshadowed by her fierce need for closure. She can't keep living with the dread that Bianca's version will overshadow the truth. The group trudges forward, guided by a single overhead lamp that flickers ominously. Each echo of their footsteps makes her hyper-aware of her pregnant belly. Of the fragile life she carries, Helena breaks the silence, murmuring, Remember, keep it calm. We're not the police, we're just collecting a statement. They push open a heavy metal door that shrieks in protest. Inside the warehouse is a cavernous space lined with dusty crates. Arturo stands near a makeshift table, a short man with anxious, darting eyes. A stained baseball cap sits crooked on his head. He rubs his hands together, shifting from foot to foot as their group approaches. "You got the money," he blurts, voice shaky. "I ain't talking unless you pay me first." Serafina's stomach clenches, but Helena nods calmly. "You'll get compensated for your time. First, we need your testimony in writing, and we want to record you stating what happened." Arturo snorts, glancing around. Yeah, I'll talk." Leonardo steps forward. "You said your cousin told you? Bianca Moretti paid him off. How do you know?" Arturo rubs his nose nervously. "Marco told me straight up. She came with some fancy lawyer, gave him a letter promising money if he changed his story, said you was the one behind the break-in." His words tumble out in a near mumble. Serafina's palms sweat. If they can get this confession on record, maybe they can blow up Bianca's false narrative. A spark of hope surges, but the moment they begin filming, the side door slams open. A group of men in dark hoodies storms inside, forming a half circle around them. One of them brandishes a handgun, raising it menacingly. Serafina's heart leaps into her throat. She instinctively shields her stomach. The bodyguards swiftly draw their weapons, tension bristling. Nobody move, the gun wielder snarls. Leonardo steps protectively in front of Serafina. Her breath comes in short, terrified bursts. She spots the flash of something metallic in one man's hand. A crowbar. Cassian tenses, murmuring to the nearest guard, "This is a setup." Arturo slides back, eyes darting left and right. Hey! I don't know who they are," he whines, stepping behind a crate. Helena tries to keep her composure, voice stern. "We're just here to talk," the man with the gun sneers. "You want the truth? The truth is you're trespassing. This property belongs to us." He glances pointedly at Serafina. "And that lady? She's about to pay for messing with the wrong people." Her pulse pounds. She curses herself for coming here. This has Bianca's fingerprints all over it. Another fear tactic? Or maybe an attempt to eliminate them entirely. The bodyguards stand firm, but they're outnumbered. One guard murmurs into his earpiece for backup, but it's not clear how long that will take. "Don't do anything stupid," the second guard warns, voice trembling with adrenaline. A flicker of motion draws Serafina's gaze. There's a side exit about 15 feet away. If they can distract these thugs, maybe they can slip out. But is she fast enough? In her pregnant state? Fear claws at her insides. The gunman's finger curls tighter on the trigger. "Drop your weapons," he orders the guards, "or I'll shoot." For a tense moment, no one moves. Then Cassian, with a forced calm, mutters, "We don't want trouble, let's just talk." The gunman's nostrils flare. "Talk," Bianca told us. "You'd come sniffing around that you had big pockets to pay off snitches. She said to make sure you didn't leave with anything useful." Serafina's blood runs cold. This is undeniably a trap. Bianca wants to sabotage any chance of them securing crucial testimony. Arturo cowers, stammering, "I didn't sign up for this, man." The tension breaks like a thunderclap. One of the thugs charges forward with the crowbar. The bodyguards open fire in reflex, bullets sparking off the concrete floor. Screams echo. Chaos erupts, a swirling clash of bodies, gunfire, and desperate survival. Helena yells for Serafina to get down. She crouches behind a crate, arms shaking as she shields her belly. She feels Leonardo's presence next to her, covering her with his own body. Cassian tries to wrestle the crowbar away from one attacker. The world becomes a jarring blur of violence. Dust clouds swirl from the bullet. Impact stinging Serafina's eyes. Her heart threatens to explode from her chest. She can't see Helena or the guards. Only the muzzle flashes in her peripheral vision. Then the side door bangs open. More footsteps thunder in. Is it backup or more thugs? She can't tell. Her ears ring, and another round of shots blast the air. Suddenly, strong hands grab her shoulders. She almost screams, but it's a uniformed figure. A policeman. "Ma'am?" "We're here," he shouts over the din. Relief floods her, sirens wail outside, echoing through the broken windows. Within seconds, the assailants are cornered, pinned to the ground by newly arrived law enforcement. Arturo tries to bolt, but an officer intercepts him. Leonardo clutches Serafina's hand, breath ragged. She's trembling, tears streaming down her cheeks, but physically unharmed. "Are you okay?" He chokes out, voice is shaking with a concern. She can only nod, pressing a hand to her belly to reassure herself that the baby is safe. Minutes later, paramedics filter in, checking everyone for injuries. The scene is a battered wreck of crates, bullet casings, and shattered hopes. Arturo, face white with terror, is escorted to a squad car. Before they take him away, Helena intercepts an officer. "We need a statement. We were meeting him to discuss the break-in case." The officer nods. "We'll handle it. We'll need your statements too." Cassian rubs his bruised knuckles, scowling at the battered crowbar on the floor. "She almost got us killed," he says under his breath. Serafina's knees feel weak. She nearly collapses, but Leonardo holds her upright. Her breath comes in jagged gulps as she stares at the men being hauled away in handcuffs. This is Bianca's doing, no question. She orchestrated this trap to ensure none of them left with the testimony that could bring her down. In the swirl of flashing police lights, Serafina clings to Leonardo. She's never felt more fragile, more terrified for the life inside her. They both realize that time is nearly up. Bianca's interview is in less than 2 days, and they have nothing substantial to refute her. The baby shifts within Serafina's womb, as if sensing the tension. She closes her eyes, feeling the oppressive weight of despair. If Bianca can manipulate criminals to do her bidding, and do it so easily, what else might she attempt next? What would you do if every step toward the truth triggered an even deadlier trap, and you were running out of time to save yourself and the ones you love? Emergency lights swirl across the night sky as Leonardo and Serafina stand side by side in the penthouse living room, each lost in a suffocating silence. Though the police quickly escorted them back after the warehouse skirmish, the adrenaline still courses through their veins. Serafina's ears ring from the gunfire, her body quaking with aftershocks. She presses a trembling hand to her belly, where a faint flutter of movement reminds her that the baby is still there, still fighting alongside her. Leonardo pours a glass of water, offering it to her. She sips, trying to steady her trembling lips. Cassian hovers in the background, phone in hand, orchestrating damage control, with security, law enforcement, and the media. Helena paces her heels, striking the marble floor with grim determination. "We have less than 48 hours, she says, not bothering to hide her desperation. "That interview could bury us if we can't prove Bianca's involvement. Arturo's testimony is compromised after tonight's fiasco. They'll say we forced him or bribed him." Cassian curses under his breath. "She's cornered us perfectly." Serafina exhales shakily. "What about the original CCTV from the night of the attack? The intruder's face might be hidden, but can't we see Bianca anywhere near the building?" Helena's eyes sharpen. "Yes, we do have some footage from the building's exterior cameras. She's cunning, but maybe we can prove she was in the vicinity. Let me reach out to our digital forensics guy." But the tide of hope is quickly extinguished by Cassian's next update. He glances at Leonardo, expression grim. "We have a new problem. The city's press is speculating you're skipping town, an unsubstantiated rumor that your private jet is fueling up for an international flight. They're painting a picture of you fleeing to avoid legal consequences." Leonardo nearly chokes. "My God, we're not leaving." "Why would they?" The rumor's out. Cassian interjects, pinching the bridge of his nose, and the public is eating it up. The stock for Aster Global is plummeting. Investors are pulling out, spooked by the negativity. Our lenders want immediate reassurance. A hush settles as the gravity of the situation sinks in. Every aspect of their lives, financial, personal, emotional, is under siege. Serafina wonders if perhaps it would be better for them to retreat somewhere quiet to shield the baby from the swirling stress. But she knows that running would only confirm Bianca's narrative. Gently, she lowers herself onto the couch, fatigue weighing her down like a physical force. A stab of pain lances through her abdomen, and she winces, pressing a hand to her belly. Everyone notices Leonardo rushes to her side. "Is it the baby?" She shuts her eyes, breathing through the discomfort. "Just a cramp. Stress-induced, probably." Fear flits across his face. "We should call the doctor." "No," she says softly, letting the pain subside. "I'm okay, just get me some tea." He scurries to comply while Helena glances pointedly at her watch. "We can't let Bianca hold the microphone unchallenged. We need to produce a counter statement. A press conference, maybe?" Serafina clears her throat, voice soft. "I'll do it." Head swiveled toward her. "I'll tell the press exactly what happened." She continues. "From my perspective, I'll talk about the fear, the intruder, the scars I still carry. Maybe if they see me pregnant, invisibly shaken, they'll understand Leonardo sets a cup of tea on the coffee table, kneeling in front of her. I can't ask you to do that. She meets his eyes, tears gathering. Leonardo, I've done nothing wrong. If I hide, I'll be seen as complicit or a liar, or both. This is my life she's attacking, my child's safety. I won't be a victim locked in an ivory tower. Cassian nods supportively. A heartfelt statement from Serafina could sway public opinion. She's beloved for her philanthropic work, and the city has always admired her sincerity. Helena places a hand gently on Serafina's shoulder. We'll need to do it right tomorrow, prime time, so we can overshadow Bianca's upcoming interview. But it'll be risky. The press will ask tough questions. Serafina's mouth sets in a hard line. I'm prepared for that. I'll tell the truth. Leonardo, eyes shining with gratitude and worry, grasps her hands. We'll face it together then, yet as they finalize the plan, a ripple of anxiety tears through Serafina. What if Bianca retaliates mid-conference with more twisted illusions or doctored evidence? She's proven she'll stop at nothing, and then to make matters worse, her phone chimes. She glances at the screen, a message from an unknown number. You're making a mistake, stepping into the spotlight. I won't let you ruin me. Serafina's blood runs cold, but she calmly sets the phone aside. She won't let Bianca's intimidation break her resolve, though it feels like a sharp knife pressed against her throat. The hours stretch into an endless night. Serafina tries to rest in the bedroom, but vivid nightmares wake her, each more terrifying than the last. She sees the masked intruder, the crowbar-swinging thugs, the horrifying possibility of losing the baby. She wakes with a gap, cold sweat clinging to her skin. She stumbles to the balcony, drinking in the city lights. In hopes of calming her racing heart, Leonardo joins her. Draping a blanket over her shoulders, they stand in silence, the night wind swirling around them like a portent of change. We're in for a storm tomorrow, he says quietly. She nods, eyes scanning the neon labyrinth of skyscrapers. I want the truth out. I need to breathe free of all these lies. His hand slips into hers. She doesn't reject it this time. I love you, he murmurs, voice thick with regret. I swear I'll never stop fighting to protect you and our child. She's silent for a long moment, considering the man she once believed to be her fearless protector. Then she tightens her grip in his fingers, a tiny gesture of unity. Then let's fight, she whispers, tears shimmering. Tomorrow she will stand before the cameras and reveal her soul, risking everything to confront a mistress who has manipulated them from the shadows. The clock ticks down relentlessly. Less than 24 hours remain until she steps into the glare of a merciless media. What would you do if the only path to reclaim your life demanded unveiling your most painful vulnerabilities in front of an audience hungry for blood? The next morning dawns with an ominous hush, as if the city itself is holding its breath in anticipation. Serafina barely sleeps, drifting in and out of fitful dozes. She can sense a storm on the horizon, a lethal collision of heartbreak, ambition, and revenge. 3 hours remain until her scheduled press conference. A major network has agreed to broadcast her statement live. Leonardo stands by the mirror, adjusting a simple black suit. His reflection reveals the exhaustion etched into every line of his face. Serafina, wrapped in a satin robe, eyes her reflection. She doesn't see the vibrant woman she used to be. She sees someone bracing for battle. A mild ache in her abdomen troubles her, but she says nothing. She must be strong today. Exactly an hour before they plan to leave the penthouse, the first catastrophe strikes. Cassian bursts through the door, breathless, holding up his phone. The broadcast might be off, he says, a voice ragged with alarm. What do you mean? Leonardo asks, stepping forward. I just got word from an inside contact at the network. Bianca's legal team threatened them with a defamation suit if they run Serafina's press conference unfiltered. They claim we have no proof, just slander. Serafina's heart drops. They're censoring me. Cassian nods, outraged. Unless we provide them with some ironclad evidence first, they may cut the live feed if you accuse Bianca of orchestrating the attack. They say it's about protecting themselves from liability. The blow is crushing. Serafina's big chance to address the public is in jeopardy. Her eyes sting with tears. We have evidence, she insists, voice strained. The CCTV, the intruder's initial confession. Cassian grimaces. Marco recanted, remember. And Bianca's team keeps labeling the footage as doctored. The network's executives are panicking. Leonardo slams his fist against the marble counter, the sound echoing. The baby shifts inside Serafina's womb, a jolt that nearly steals her breath. She tries to maintain composure. We're still going, she says resolutely. Even if they cut me off, I'll speak to the cameras. We can't back down. Cassian and Leonardo exchange worried glances, but agree. They begin adjusting the plan. Maybe they'll rely on social media to stream her statement if the network flounders. Serafina's chest tightens at the thought of more last-minute fiascos, but she steels herself. Then the second tragedy hits. Helena rushes in, hair askew, a frantic expression on her usually composed face. We just got an urgent call. Your mother was in a car accident on the way to the press conference. She tells Serafina, voice trembling. She's at St. Helena's hospital. The words land like a hammer blow. What, my mother? She was... Oh God. Serafina feels the floor tilt. Her mother had flown in overnight, determined to show her support. Tears flood Serafina's eyes. She tries to stand, but her knees buckle. Is she? She's alive, Helena says quickly, but in surgery, her car was sideswiped by a truck. They're not sure how severe it is yet. Leonardo rushes to Serafina's side, guiding her into a chair. She's shaking, heartbreak leaking through her every pore. For a few seconds, she forgets the scandal, the press conference, everything. Only her mother's well-being matters. I have to go to her, she says, voice tremulous. Leonardo nods. We'll cancel the press conference. But Serafina meets his gaze with sudden fury. No, that's what Bianca wants. My mother was attacked indirectly or by coincidence, we don't know, but she wouldn't want me to back down. She always taught me to stand up for the truth. Her tears flow freely, each hot droplet fueling her resolve. She steadies her breath. I'll go after the conference. I have to do this first. No one argues. The cruelty of having to choose between her mother's bedside and a fight for her own reputation carves a raw wound in her chest. She prays under her breath that her mother will pull through with only 30 minutes left before they must leave. The third disaster arrives like a final blow. The penthouse elevator dings, revealing a uniformed officer accompanied by an agitated official from Child Protective Services. They stride into the foyer, announcing they have come to investigate a complaint regarding the safety of Serafina's unborn child. The official brandishes a file. We received multiple calls claiming you're in a volatile environment with allegations of staged violence and possible substance abuse. Serafina gasps, her body going numb with incredulity. Substance abuse? I don't even drink wine. Wait, are you insane? The official is unmoved. We're obligated to follow up. If we determine this environment is unsafe, we can file for an order preventing Mr. Astor from being near the child after birth. It's a catastrophic moment. Leonardo's face contorts in rage and panic. Cassian steps forward protesting. This is absurd. Who made those calls? The official shrugs. They were anonymous, but we have multiple entries. We must do a preliminary assessment. Helena's voice is tight. Isn't this timing a bit suspicious? Right before a critical press conference. We don't choose the timing. The official snaps. We respond when calls come in. Serafina's lip quivers. Bianca must be behind this, feeding vile rumors to child services to rattle them. Her mother is in surgery. The press conference is on shaky ground, and now they threaten to question her fitness as a parent. She feels the world collapsing in a labyrinth of cruelty. Tears blur her vision, but she forces them away. She addresses the official directly. Do your assessment. You'll find no sign of substance abuse, just the heartbreak of a woman who was attacked in her own home. She's shaking, but her voice is steady. If you need to talk to my doctor, do it. I've never tested positive for anything. The official eyes her with a mixture of pity and skepticism. We'll see. We'll start with a home visit. Speak to you and your husband separately. Helena checks the clock, panic in her eyes. We have to leave for an important engagement in 15 minutes. Reschedule, the official says curtly. This might be the final blow. Serafina stands at the precipice, feeling her will crack under the weight of these three catastrophic events. Cassian edges forward. Let me handle this. I'll gather your medical records, your physician's statements. Serafina, go to your press conference. I'll keep the official here and show them everything. Serafina exhales, tears streaming. Cassian, thank you. Time is running out. A loud drumbeat in her mind. She has to reach that press conference or the truth may never surface in time to counter Bianca's interview. But how can she leave knowing her mother is on an operating table and child services is prowling her home? Her entire life is unraveling in real time. Leonardo gently cups her face. Go, speak your truth. That's what your mother would want. She manages a faint nod. She can't fold. If she retreats now, Bianca's web of lies gains unstoppable momentum. She grabs her coat, her voice quivering with determination. I'm doing this for me, for my child, for my mother, for us all. The official glances at her pointedly as if suspicious of her composure, but she pushes past them, stepping into the elevator with Helena and Leonardo. She's determined to face the cameras with calm integrity, no matter how battered her spirit. As the elevator descends, her heart pounds like a war drum, echoing the knowledge that the next hour could change the course of her entire life, for better or for worse. What would you do if three unstoppable disasters slammed you at once, forcing you to stand tall when every fiber of your being just wanted to crumble? Serafina steps onto the small stage erected in front of the Astor Foundation building, a towering glass edifice that once symbolized her and Leonardo's philanthropic dreams. Now a throng of reporters, cameras, and curious onlookers jostle for space, their hungry gazes locked on her. A hush falls as she approaches the microphone in a fitted black maternity dress, determined not to appear weak despite the swirling fear in her gut. Helicopters hover overhead, capturing aerial shots of the tension unfolding below. Leonard stands a few steps behind her, eyes haunted yet resolute. Helena flanks her to the right, scanning the crowd for any sign of sabotage. Cassian remains at the penthouse, placating the child services official and awaiting updates on her mother's condition. The city's top news stations have their equipment lined up. They had threatened to cut the feed if she named Bianca without hard evidence, but Serafina has no choice. She must speak the truth. She leans into the microphone, voice trembling at first, but growing in conviction. My name is Serafina Astor. I am the wife of Leonardo Astor, and I stand before you as a woman who has faced unimaginable betrayal and fear. I ask you to hear my story, our story in my own words. The cameras close in, the crowd collectively holds its breath. She details how a few weeks ago, a masked intruder broke into their penthouse, physically threatening her and her unborn child. She describes the terror, memory of the knife glinting under the city lights, the words the attacker spat in her ear. Tell your husband he can't keep you safe. She confirms that the CCTV footage is authentic, not doctored. Then she addresses the swirling allegations. My husband Leonardo has admitted to an affair. It is a personal failing, one that has caused me great pain, but that does not excuse the violence orchestrated against me and our child. We believe that woman, the mistress, sought revenge and orchestrated this break-in. She does not name Bianca directly to avoid immediate legal backlash. Tension ripples through the crowd. Some reporters shout follow-up questions. She raises a hand, forging ahead. Many of you have heard claims that I or my husband staged this attack for publicity or as a distraction from supposed business improprieties. I stand here pregnant, frightened, and heartsick to tell you that's a heinous lie. We have every intention of prosecuting those responsible to the fullest extent of the law. Suddenly, the giant screen behind her flickers, a planned move by Helena to display carefully extracted phone records. She points to the screen. Here we see text from an unknown number that threatened me, referencing details only the intruder would know. For the sake of ongoing investigations, I can't reveal the name behind that number yet, but these messages show a pattern of intimidation. The crowd gasps. She sees some nodding in realization that they're glimpsing real evidence, not hearsay. Her voice grows steady. I am not here to hide my husband's mistakes or to shield him from accountability. What I will not abide is the attempted destruction of my child's safety, of my safety through manipulation and violence that crosses a line that no wrongdoing on my husband's part could ever justify. She glances at Leonardo, who swallows hard, tears welling in his eyes. Reporters shout a cacophony of questions. Is your marriage over? Do you have proof the mistress paid the intruder? How can we trust your words after the rumored offshore deals? The last question slices through the crowd's frenzy. She steels herself, responding, Astor Global's finances are under thorough review. No criminal activity has been found. We welcome any legitimate audit. But let me be clear, I will not allow fabricated scandal to overshadow the raw truth of an assault on a pregnant woman. This is about more than just business rumors. This is about a crime. A hush follows. Serafina can feel her pulse pounding in her temples. The bright lights overhead intensify, sweat beads on her forehead. I'm prepared to answer your questions, she says, but understand, I may not have all the answers yet. The police investigations continue. Legal processes take time. I ask for your patience and for the respect every expecting mother deserves. The first question leaps from a tall female reporter in a blue blazer. Are you filing for divorce from Leonardo Astor? It echoes the rumors swirling in every tabloid. The question hangs in the electrified air. Serafina inhales. She glances at Leonardo, whose posture stiffens. Then she faces the microphone again, determined to speak from the heart. I have not made a final decision about the future of our marriage. My priority is to protect my child and ensure the truth prevails. If it means stepping away from him, I will. If it means standing by him, I will. Only time and his actions will show me the path. Reporters scribble notes in frantic unison. Another voice pierces the hush. Who exactly do you believe orchestrated the attack? The entire crowd tenses, waiting. Helena's eyes narrow in caution. Serafina sets her jaw, voice trembling but unyielding. I can't name her due to pending legal actions, but we will present evidence in the proper forum. Let's call her the mistress for now. She knows who she is, and soon all of you will too. The tension snaps with a barrage of flashes. She's indicted Bianca without naming her. The next wave of reporters surge forward, shouting overlapping queries. She holds up a hand again, realizing she must conclude on a potent note before they cut her off. To those who doubt me, she says, remember that sometimes the simplest explanation is the truth. I was attacked because of jealousy, because of greed, and because my husband's poor choices gave someone the opening to exploit our family. But I'm standing here still pregnant, still determined, and more certain than ever that no woman or mother should face this kind of terror. I will fight for justice no matter how many obstacles are thrown my way. She turns, giving the podium over to Helena, who steps forward to promise ongoing legal updates. Just as Serafina steps aside, her phone buzzes in her purse. She sneaks a glance, a text from Cashin. Your mom is out of surgery. Stable, the child services official, left satisfied for now. Hurry back. Relief surges, tears slipping down her cheeks. She had half expected the worst. She exhales, letting the tension drain for a moment. Reporters continue to hound. But she said her piece, Lena. Nardo slides an arm around her to guide her off stage, he murmurs. You were magnificent, brave. She musters a shaky smile. I just told the truth. But even as she attempts to calm her racing heart, her mind strays to the next storm on the horizon. Bianca's primetime interview airs tonight. If Bianca conjures more lies or twists Serafina's words, the public could sway right back in her favor. The dreaded countdown is nearing zero, the final confrontation with the mistress, who was once only a silhouette lurking in the background. As Serafina leaves the stage, a single question burns in her mind. Will truth be enough when faced with a cunning liar, hell-bent on revenge? What would you do if you had risked everything to reveal your side, only to face the possibility that it still might not save you? Later that afternoon, Serafina steps into her mother's hospital room, a wave of relief coursing through her. After the relentless swirl of tragedy, seeing her mother awake and breathing feels like a sacred blessing. Wires and tubes snake around the bed, and the beep of monitors sets a fragile rhythm. Her mother, Belinda, offers a weak smile. I always told you I'd be here for you, she jokes faintly. Though maybe not like this. Serafina wipes away tears, pulling a chair close to the bed. You scared me, she whispers. I thought I was losing you. Belinda's eyes soften. I'm tougher than I look. Besides, I had to make sure my grandchild is born into a world where the truth matters. Serafina lays her hand on the rail, suddenly childlike in her vulnerability. Thank you for coming, she manages, voice trembling. I'm so sorry all this happened. They share a quiet moment, mother and daughter linked by unconditional love. Outside, Leonardo waits with Helena, giving them privacy. The plan is to let Serafina recover from the morning's press conference fiasco before they face the night's unstoppable confrontation. Bianca's broadcast interview, so Belinda says gently, I was told about the break-in and the scandal with that mistress woman. Serafina lowers her gaze, shame flickering in her eyes. Yes, it's all real. She threatened me, had me attacked. Now she's telling the world we fabricated it. Belinda's hand moves weakly to give Serafina's fingers a gentle squeeze. I'm sorry you had to bear that alone. Do you still love Leonardo? The question catches Serafina off guard. She swallows. I do. But he betrayed me in a way I never expected. And yet, after all, this part of me still wants to be a family. Belinda's voice is soft. Love's messy, especially when trust is broken. But I've seen him pacing these halls ready to fight dragons for you. He's not perfect, but maybe he's learning how to protect what truly matters. Serafina glances at the door. She can imagine Leonardo out there, brow furrowed in worry. Another wave of tears glistens in her eyes. I just want a safe, honest life for my child, she whispers. Then she leans forward, placing her ear near her mother's lips. What do I do? Mom Belinda's answer is simple but resonates with the clarity of a bell. Don't give up on love if it's real, but don't let love blind you to the truth. You'll know your path soon. Serafina closes her eyes, exhaling a shaky breath. She plants a gentle kiss on Belinda's forehead, promising to return soon. Then stands. Rest now, she says, brushing a stray hair from her mother's face. I'll be back as soon as I can. Outside, Leonardo stands as she emerges, exhaustion etched in his features. How is she? He asks, stable but battered. Serafina answers, voice quivering with relief. We can go soon. I just need to finalize her care plan with the doctor. She notices how tightly he's clutching his phone. He looks pale. What's happened? She asks, dread pulling in her stomach. He takes a steadying breath. Bianca's interview begins in 2 hours. I just saw the teaser. She's claiming she was your friend, that you confided in her about wanting to leave me, and that she rescued me from a toxic marriage. Serafina grimaces. That's insane. She and I we've barely had 2 conversations in our lives, mostly in passing, at events. Helena steps up, pressing her phone to her ear, finishing a call. She sighs. One of our investigators found out more about Bianca's past. She has a history of restraining orders filed against her by ex-partners, but they withdrew the claims under suspicious circumstances. It's not exactly a smoking gun, but it shows a pattern. Serafina's eyes narrow. If we can leak that before her interview, maybe it'll cast doubt on her credibility. Helena shakes her head. We tried. The network in airing her interview refused to run with it without the actual restraining order. Documents. They're sealed. We can't get them unsealed in time. Leonardo clenches his jaw, agitation coursing through him. We'll watch the interview. If she slanders us again, we can file defamation suits. But the damage might be done by then. A hush follows as the gravity sinks in. Serafina's press conference was heartfelt, but Bianca's cunning theatrics might overshadow it, especially if the network frames her story as more sympathetic. Serafina's phone vibrates with a message from Cassian. Child Services cleared you of all allegations? They left, but be careful, Bianca's definitely behind that call. She releases a heavy sigh of relief. At least that crisis is handled. She's thankful Cassian has her back. A swirl of contradictory emotions tangles in her chest. Love for Leonardo, sorrow for the betrayal, gratitude for her mother's survival, fury at Bianca's manipulations. She reaches for Leonardo's hand, surprising even herself. Her voice trembles. Let's get out of here. I can't stand around waiting for her to spin more lies. If we have to face the interview, we face it together. A flicker of hopeful gratitude lights his eyes as he intertwines his fingers with hers. They both know the road to forgiveness is long and uncertain, but this small gesture in the hospital corridor feels like the whisper of renewal. As they head toward the elevator, the weight in Serafina's chest lifts a fraction. The ultrasound from her last appointment beckons her memory, that strong, tiny heartbeat. It's the anchor grounding her to hope. She repeats her mother's words in her mind. Don't let love blind you to the truth. She will stand firm against Bianca, no matter how the night unfolds. With each step, she prays a new dawn awaits them, a life free from the shadows of violence and deceit. What would you do if the love you clung to was the only shield you had left, even as a hurricane of lies threatened to tear it apart? Night creeps in and the entire city tunes into the primetime special. Bianca Moretti tells all. Serafina and Leonardo back at the penthouse prepare to watch from the living room, dread coiled tight in their stomachs. The lights are dimmed. Helena sits on the edge of a leather armchair, legal notepad ready to jot down every slanderous claim. Cassian is there too, laptop open, scanning real-time social media reactions. On screen, the studio glows with warm, dramatic lighting. Bianca sits across from the host, wearing a sleek, form-fitting dress in a shade of deep crimson. She looks every inch the contrite yet glamorous figure, leaning in with a feigned vulnerability. The host introduces her as a former confidant of the Astors, painting her as a sophisticated insider turned whistleblower. Bianca's voice quivers on cue. I never wanted any of this. She begins, eyes shimmering with crocodile tears. But I can't remain silent when so much deception is at play. Serafina grips Leonardo's hand, mind reeling at the brazen hypocrisy. For the next 15 minutes, Bianca weaves a twisted fairy tale. She claims Serafina confided in her about dissatisfaction in the marriage, that Leonardo was depressed and needed real affection. She tearfully recounts a fabricated scenario where the break-in was staged by Leonardo to garner sympathy and overshadow rumored illegal property dealings. Serafina is painted as manipulative, desperate to salvage a failing marriage. On the TV, the host feigning a neutral stance prods her for specifics. Bianca dangles half-truths, like knowledge of personal gifts Leonardo once gave Serafina, making her lies more convincing. She even shows a blurred screenshot of Serafina's phone number, claiming they exchanged personal texts, which never happened. Serafina whispers, fury simmering. Helena jots notes furiously. Slander after slander, she mutters. Then comes the bombshell. Bianca leans in, voice soft as velvet. I have an email thread that proves the Astors orchestrated everything. It's from a hush-hush account detailing the plan to have a masked man scare Serafina. They plan to blame me if it went wrong. She holds up printed pages, grainy, but the text is somewhat legible. The host gasps, leaning closer to read what appears to be a conversation. Cassian's eyes widen and he types rapidly, trying to see if the alleged email domain matches any real one used by Leonardo or Serafina. That's a total fabrication. Leonardo snaps, rising from the couch. We never wrote anything like that. Serafina's chest constricts, panic flooding her. Could the public believe these forgeries? The rest of the interview is a swirl of sensational claims with Bianca, concluding by saying, I only hope the authorities see through the Astors' lies. I fear for my own safety, now speaking out. The host thanks her, solemnly promising they have verified some of her evidence. The camera zooms in on Bianca's face, her expression a mask of sympathetic courage. Then the program ends. It's like a bomb exploded in the room. Helena leaps up, cursing, phone in hand. She storms toward the study to call her legal associates. Cassian reloads news sites, seeing an explosion of social media chatter, many condemning Serafina as a liar. This is insane, Cassian says, voice hushed but panicked. We have to put out a statement immediately. Serafina stands there numb. She feels nauseous seeing the avalanche of tweets on Cassian's laptop. Team, Bianca, Astor scam, Serafina exposed. Leonardo turns to her, heartbreak etched in his face. This is all because I let her into our lives, he murmurs. I'm so sorry. She closes her eyes, pressing a hand to her abdomen. The baby moves unsettled by her elevated pulse. I don't care about the tabloids, she says, voice shaking. I just want to be safe from that woman. A phone rings. Cassian answers, speaking in hushed tones. His face changes from desperation to a flicker of hope. That was the police, he says once off the call. Arturo. The cousin gave a partial statement. He's naming Bianca as the one who paid for the warehouse ambush. Serafina's heart leaps. So we have a formal statement. Cassian nods. He's cooperating. They're filing charges against Bianca for conspiracy. She might face an arrest warrant if the DA thinks it's enough. Relief surges through the room like a cleansing wave. Helena re-enters, phone still pressed to her ear, and Cassian updates her. She nods vigorously. That's big. Coupled with the original intruder's first confession, we might have enough to show a pattern of her bribing criminals. They realize that while Bianca is busy reveling in her triumphant interview, law enforcement is quietly gathering the final puzzle pieces. Serafina can't help the tears that slip down her cheeks, tears of cautious relief. It's not over, though. Helena warns Bianca still has a huge portion of the public on her side right now. Leonardo rubs Serafina's back gently, but at least we have a shot at real legal action. Then Helena's phone pings. She checks it, eyes widening. Breaking news. The station that aired Bianca's interview is running a follow-up segment. They just announced that the police are investigating new evidence in the break-in case. Bianca's meltdown might begin soon. Serafina sinks onto the couch. A swirl of exhaustion and relief. The mistress's hold on their lives is beginning to crack. What if she flees? She asks softly. Helena shrugs. The police will watch her closely. If she tries to skip town, that's another sign of guilt. She'll be arrested. For the first time in weeks, Serafina exhales without the weight of crushing dread. She glances at the black TV screen. Bianca's interview ended with a triumphant flourish, but the real story might just be starting. Then, like a final note of closure, Serafina's phone vibrates with a call. She picks up and hears Detective Alvarado's familiar voice. Mrs. Astor, we have enough to move forward on a warrant. We'll keep you updated. The detective's tone is grim but resolute. Serafina manages a shaky thank you before hanging up. She looks around at the people in the room. Leonardo, Cassian, Helena, each battered but still fighting. The baby stirs again as if sensing a shift in the storm. For the first time in ages, Serafina allows a small smile. They're not out of danger, but they might finally be on a path to break free of Bianca's venom. What would you do if, after being dragged through unimaginable darkness, you finally saw a faint light that might just lead you and your family to safety? Over the next week, events move at a dizzying speed. The district attorney's office charges Bianca Moretti with conspiracy to commit aggravated assault and intimidation, partly based on the testimonies from Arturo Salazar and the man who originally broke into the penthouse. The mention of a large sum of money wired from Bianca's account sets the final piece in motion. The tabloids erupt with coverage pivoting from #TeamBianca to #ArrestBianca. She's taken into custody after a dramatic standoff at her swanky condo, where she allegedly tried to shred documents, linking her to further blackmail attempts. For Serafina, it's the first real taste of freedom in ages. She can walk into the living room without flinching at every shadow. Child Services retracts any ongoing investigation citing unfounded claims. Her mother recovers steadily, receiving daily visits from Serafina at the hospital. And though the public is still reeling from the scandal, a tide of sympathy surges for the pregnant woman who faced down a lethal mistress. As the dust settles, Leonardo quietly tries to mend his marriage. Therapy sessions begin in a discreet office downtown at first. Serafina attends reluctantly, her heart still raw. But Dr. Portman, a gentle, bespectacled counselor, guides them through the swirling pain. Leonardo confesses the full extent of his affair, the details he hid, the nights he lied, the guilt that ate him alive. Serafina shares her resentment, her heartbreak, the sense of betrayal that not only burned her trust, but nearly cost her and her baby their safety. It's an excruciating process punctuated by tears and long silences. But it's a start. One evening after a particularly grueling therapy session, Serafina invites Leonardo to the nursery, now fully decorated in pastel shades, a whimsical mural of clouds and stars spanning one wall. She gazes at the crib, imagining the baby's arrival. "I can't believe she'll be here soon," she says softly, resting a hand on her belly. "After everything we've gone through, I want her to know a world of love, not fear." Leonardo moves beside her, tentatively placing his hand over hers. They share a moment of quiet awe. In that hush, the doorbell rings. Cassian answers and returns with a sealed envelope. "From your private investigator," he says, handing it to Leonardo. "He said it's urgent." Serafina tenses. She's had enough of dreadful envelopes to last a lifetime. Leonardo opens it, skimming the pages inside. She sees his expression go from confusion to shock. "What is it?" she asks, heart pounding. His voice is tight. "It's an email chain from 2 years ago, from me to an old competitor." "But I never wrote these," he mutters, scanning the contents. "It's discussing insider info, borderline illegal real estate deals, and it's signed with my digital signature." Serafina's throat tightens. "You think Bianca forged those too?" He shakes his head. "Bianca's in custody. This is something else. The PI found them on the dark web. Apparently they look real, Sarah. They have intricate details about property acquisitions. I actually made..." Cassian leans over, eyes narrowing. "So either someone was impersonating you for a long time, or you forgot you wrote them." Leonardo pales, flipping through more pages. "I never wanted these deals. I swear I'd remember if I did something that shady." The nursery's soft lamp casts ominous shadows on the pages. Serafina steps back, anxiety coursing through her veins. "Wait, are you saying there's another layer to all this? Another scheme?" Leonardo's voice trembles. "It might be something my father set up before he died, or maybe a board member forging my sign-off. I don't know." He glances at Cassian, dread filling his eyes. "But if these documents go public, it'll look like I was embroiled in illegal trading, like I built my empire on corruption." Cassian breathes a curse under his breath. "Victor Blackwood," he murmurs, referencing Leonardo's ruthless competitor. "He's always had a vendetta against you. Could he have planted this?" Serafina's heart clutches. She thought with Bianca's arrest, the worst was behind them. Now a new threat emerges from the murky depths of the past. "What do we do?" she asks, voice trembling. Leonardo's fist clenches around the pages, eyes blazing. "I'll contact Helena. We'll figure it out. Whoever is behind this wants to see me ruin." She sees the swirl of panic in his gaze, reminiscent of the early days when Bianca's betrayal first surfaced. A sense of dread creeps through her. Could this be a bigger conspiracy? One that might overshadow even Bianca's monstrous actions? In the hallway, Helena's voice drifts from the living room, likely discussing final preparations for Bianca's trial. Meanwhile, a new storm brews in Serafina's mind. She rests a hand over her belly, trying to quell the knot of anxiety. "We just ended one war," she murmurs, tears pricking her eyes. Leonardo sets the envelope on the changing table, then cups her face gently. "We'll face this too," he says, though his voice wavers. But let's promise we won't keep secrets anymore. She nods, forcing a brave smile. The baby kicks as if reminding them that there's still hope. The moment feels heartbreakingly familiar, a lull in the chaos overshadowed by an ominous hint that the next wave of turmoil is already on its way. What would you do if just when the darkness seemed to recede, you discovered a deeper chasm waiting to swallow you whole? In the days that follow, Serafina grapples with her biggest personal question, whether to formally end her marriage or try to rebuild Bianca's trial looms. But it's overshadowed by the new threat, the possibility that Leonardo's entire business could be implicated in illicit deals. Victor Blackwood, a longtime rival, is rumored to be stoking those allegations. While Helena and Cassian scramble to verify the authenticity of these damning emails, Serafina meets alone with her own lawyer just in case. She sits in a corner office high above the city, gazing through glass walls at the place she once loved so fiercely. Her lawyer, a composed woman named Nadine White, explains the property settlement and custody scenarios. Serafina's mind flickers to the baby's ultrasound, the anticipation of holding her daughter for the first time. If she divorces Leonardo, can she shield her child from the chaos that never seems to end? Then she pictures him, the remorse etched on his face, the gentle way he's held her hand during every medical check. She thinks of her mother's words in the hospital, "Don't give up on love if it's real." She leaves the office with no firm decision, just an ache in her chest. Late that night, she returns to the penthouse. The city glimmers with a million lights as if beckoning her to choose. She finds Leonardo in the nursery, a stack of baby books scattered on the floor. He looks up anxious. "I saw you met with Nadine White," he says quietly. She stiffens. "Yes, I needed to understand my options." He sets a book aside. "And have you decided?" Silence stretches between them, taut as a stretched rubber band. Then she exhales. "I don't want a divorce right now," she confesses, her voice gentle but firm. "I can't promise we'll stay together forever, but I'm not ready to tear apart what we've fought so hard to salvage. I still love you." A wave of relief flickers across his features, and he crosses the room to take her hands in his. "I promise you," he says, voice thick with emotion. "I'll never betray you again. I'll stand by you no matter what storms come." She nods, tears slipping down her cheeks. They lean in for a tender embrace, each drawing strength from the other's heartbeat. The baby moves between them, a quiet symbol of possibility. Then the doorbell rings, startling them from their fragile moment. Helena appears practically breathless. "We just got the final forensic report on those suspicious emails. They were partially forged but embedded with real data stolen from Aster Global servers." Leonardo's eyes widen. "So someone is mixing truth and lies to create maximum damage." Helena nods. "We suspect Victor Blackwood is behind it, a known unscrupulous competitor. The report suggests he's been collecting data for over a year, waiting for the perfect time to strike." Serafina's heart sinks, and that time is now. Helena's tone is grim. "Yes, he's likely to go public within days." Leonardo squares his shoulders. "Then we gather our own evidence, expose his manipulations. We can't let another monster tear us apart." Serafina stands by his side, heart pounding, determination flaring. She's had enough of living in fear. "Let's do it," she says, gripping his hand. For a moment, resolve unites them. Cassian and Helena exchange a look of relief. Maybe the couple will weather this next storm together. But the night has one more shock in store. Serafina's phone chimes with a new message from an unknown number. She expects more threats, but the content chills her to the core. A grainy photograph of her ultrasound pinned to a bulletin board with the words, "The baby you're protecting might not be safe if you keep digging." She gasps, dropping the phone. Leonardo snatches it up, reading the horrifying threat. Cassian's face pales. Helena's jaw clenches. The message isn't from Bianca. She's in jail. Could it be from Victor or some new antagonist allied with him? Serafina's legs feel weak. She collapses onto the armchair, hand pressed protectively over her belly. "This can't be happening," she whispers, tears of terror brimming. Leonardo kneels beside her, trembling with rage. "No matter who this is, we'll stop them." The baby shifts as though sensing her mother's distress. Serafina's tears flow faster. She looks at the phone again, reading the message over and over. A final wave of dread crashes over her, making the walls seem to close in. She thought the worst ended with Bianca's arrest, but a darker threat lurks on the horizon. As Leonardo cradles her, the lights of the penthouse shine on them like a spotlight, revealing a couple battered by betrayal, yet clinging to each other. Outside the window, the city stands silent, an unwitting stage for the next saga to unfold. In the hush, Serafina's brain swirls with the question that has haunted her from the start. Will there ever be peace for our family? Or have we merely stumbled into a deeper labyrinth of revenge and corruption? Forgive or never, that question rings in her soul as she meets Leonardo's fearful gaze. She can't answer it yet. Maybe no one can. Comment your verdict and subscribe for part 2. This is a fictional transformative work created for commentary and entertainment under fair use.